The goal was disallowed in the 92nd minute. San Siro erupted in chaos, half the stadium in ecstasy, half in agony. By Sunday evening, the dressing room felt like a funeral. By Monday morning, the captain had to intervene. By Tuesday, the media had torn them apart. But it started with 9 words whispered in the tunnel that Lautaro Martínez was never supposed to hear. He thinks he's bigger than Inter now, bigger than all of us. Don't forget to subscribe to EliteBall Legends and like the video for your support. Thank you for subscribing. The Derby della Madonnina always felt different. It was not just another match. It was religion, identity, survival. On that March evening, with spring just beginning to warm the Lombardy air, San Siro was split perfectly down the middle. One half draped in nerazzurri, blue and black, the other in rossoneri, red and black. The stadium had hosted this rivalry for over a century, and every time, it felt like the first time. Every challenge mattered, every pass carried weight, every glance between players spoke volumes. Lautaro Martínez stood in the tunnel, rolling his shoulders, feeling the familiar tightness in his muscles that came before every derby. He was 26 years old, an Argentine warrior who had lifted the World Cup in Qatar just 15 months earlier. The memory of that December night in Doha still lived in his bones, the weight of the trophy, the tears streaming down his face, Messi's embrace. But this was different. This was Inter. This was home. He had been at the club for 6 years now, had scored in Champions League finals, had bled for the nerazzurri crest. Tonight, with Inter sitting second in Serie A and Milan just 3 points behind, the derby meant everything. Beside him, Nicolò Barella adjusted his captain's armband. At 27, Barella was everything Inter represented: grit, intelligence, passion that bordered on madness. He had come through the youth system at Cagliari, but had found his identity at Inter. His entire family had been Interisti for generations. His grandfather had watched the Grande Inter of the 1960s. His father had cried when Inter won the treble in 2010. And now, Nicolò wore the armband, the heartbeat of Simone Inzaghi's midfield. He played with the kind of intensity that made opponents afraid, the kind of commitment that made teammates believe. They had been brothers for 4 years, Lautaro and Barella, the Argentine goal machine and the Italian warrior. They understood each other without words. Barella's through balls finding Lautaro's runs, Lautaro's movement creating space for Barella's late surges into the box. They had celebrated together, fought together, rebuilt Inter's identity together after the financial crisis that had forced Lukaku and Hakimi to leave. They were supposed to be the foundation of Inter's future. The referee's whistle echoed through the tunnel. It was time. San Siro roared as the teams emerged. The smell of the pitch, freshly cut grass mixed with the faint metallic scent of stadium lights, hit Lautaro immediately. The temperature was perfect, cool enough to run for 90 minutes without wilting, warm enough that the ball would move quickly across the surface. He touched the turf with his right boot, testing the grip, firm, fast, dangerous. The first 20 minutes were a blur of tactical chess. Milan pressed high, trying to disrupt Inter's build-up. Inzaghi had set them up in a 3-5-2, with Barella operating as the right-sided central midfielder, orchestrating transitions, breaking lines with his passes. Lautaro partnered with Marcus Thuram up front, their movement designed to drag Milan's center-backs out of position. Every touch was scrutinized by 54,000 people. Every pass was a statement. In the 23rd minute, Barella won the ball in midfield with a perfectly timed tackle. He could feel the crowd rise with him, feel the energy surge through his legs. He drove forward, head up, scanning. Lautaro made his move, a diagonal run from right to left, dragging Fikayo Tomori with him, creating a pocket of space. Barella's pass was inch-perfect, weighted beautifully, curling away from the defender. Lautaro controlled it with his right foot, let it roll across his body, and fired with his left. The ball screamed past Mike Maignan outstretched hand and into the top corner. San Siro exploded. The nerazzurri half of the stadium became a sea of blue and black, flags waving, voices merging into one deafening roar. Lautaro sprinted toward the corner, his arms wide, his face twisted in pure joy. Barella got there first, leaping onto his back, screaming into his ear. The rest of the team piled on. This was what they lived for. This was why they wore the nerazzurri. The goal settled Inter. They controlled the game, suffocating Milan's attacks, moving the ball with confidence. Barella was everywhere, tackling, passing, organizing, shouting instructions that cut through the crowd noise. Lautaro dropped deep, linking play, his movement creating problems Milan could not solve. By halftime, Inter was in complete control. In the dressing room, Inzaghi was calm. 45 more minutes. Stay disciplined. They'll push in the second half. Be ready. Barella nodded, his hands on his knees, sweat dripping onto the floor. He glanced at Lautaro, who was drinking water, his face flushed. "One more, Toro," Barella said quietly. "One more, and we kill the game." Lautaro smiled. "Always." But Milan had not survived a century of derbies by giving up. In the 62nd minute, Rafael Leão, Milan's electric winger, cut inside from the left and unleashed a shot that Jan Sommer could only parry. Olivier Giroud was there, predatory, clinical, and buried the rebound. 1-1. San Siro shook. The Rossoneri half erupted. The momentum shifted. Inter pushed for the winner. Inzaghi made substitutions, bringing fresh legs, trying to find the breakthrough. The game became frantic, physical, desperate. Tackles flew in. The referee's whistle became a constant soundtrack. The clock ticked toward 90 minutes. Then, in the 87th minute, Inter won a corner. Barella jogged over to take it, his lungs burning, his legs heavy. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This was what the armband meant. This was leadership. He delivered the ball with precision, bending it toward the near post. The ball floated through the chaos, bodies colliding, hands grabbing shirts. And then Federico Di Marco, Inter's left wingback, rose above everyone and powered a header toward goal. The ball hit the post. The rebound fell to Lautaro. Time seemed to slow. The goal was 6 yards away. Maignan was scrambling off balance. Lautaro's right foot connected. The ball flew toward the net. San Siro inhaled collectively. And then Tomori threw himself across, his outstretched leg deflecting the ball over the crossbar. The stadium groaned. Lautaro stood frozen, hands on his head, staring at the sky. So close, so impossibly close. The corner was cleared. Milan countered. Inter scrambled back. The game entered stoppage time. 4 minutes added. 4 minutes to find glory or face heartbreak. In the 92nd minute, Barella intercepted a pass in Milan's half. He drove forward, exhaustion forgotten, instinct taking over. He could see Lautaro making a run, could see the space opening. But there was another option. Thuram, on the left, in acres of space. The pass to Thuram was easier, safer. But Lautaro was Inter's goal scorer. Lautaro was the one who delivered in these moments. Barella played the ball to Lautaro. The pass was slightly behind him. Lautaro had to check his run, had to adjust. The split second of hesitation was enough. Malik Thiaw read it, stepped across, and cleared the ball. The chance was gone. Milan broke. Leão again, flying down the left wing, his pace terrifying. Inter's defenders were caught, stretched, vulnerable. Leão cut inside, drew Sommer off his line, and squared the ball to Giroud. The French striker, veteran of 1,000 battles, did not miss from 6 yards. The Rossoneri half of San Siro exploded. 2-1. Milan had done it. The derby was theirs. Lautaro stood in the center circle, hands on his hips, staring at nothing. The noise was unbearable, half celebration, half devastation. He could feel his heart hammering in his chest, could feel the sweat cooling on his skin, could feel the weight of failure settling over him like a shroud. Barella walked past him, head down, saying nothing. The final whistle blew 30 seconds later. The walk to the tunnel felt like miles. Lautaro could hear the Milan players celebrating, could see their fans in ecstasy, could feel the eyes of 54,000 people judging him. He had scored. He had given Inter the lead, but he had also missed the chance to kill the game. That moment in the 92nd minute, the touch that was too heavy, the adjustment that took too long, it would haunt him. In the tunnel, the silence was oppressive. Players walked with their heads down, barely acknowledging each other. The smell of sweat and disappointment hung in the air. Lautaro could hear voices from the Milan dressing room, laughter, music, joy. It made his stomach turn. He walked slowly, his boots clicking against the concrete floor. And then he heard it. Voices from around the corner, near the medical room. He recognized them immediately. Alessandro Bastoni and Denzel Dumfries, two of his teammates. The pass was there, Bastoni was saying, his voice low but carrying in the empty tunnel. Thuram was wide open. Why force it to Lautaro? Because Lautaro's our striker, Dumfries replied. That's what we do. Not when he's been talking to Barcelona all week. Bastoni's voice had an edge to it now. Not when he thinks he's bigger than the club. Lautaro stopped walking. His blood ran cold. What are you talking about? Dumfries asked. The contract, Bastoni said. He's stalling, wants Barcelona money, wants to leave. He thinks he's bigger than Inter now, bigger than all of us. And Barella sees it. Everyone sees it. Lautaro felt like he had been punched in the stomach. He stood there, frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. The tunnel seemed to close in around him. He wanted to storm around the corner, wanted to defend himself, wanted to scream that it was not true. But his legs would not move. That's why the pass was off, Bastoni continued. Barella doesn't trust him anymore, not when Lautaro's already got one foot out the door. Lautaro finally forced himself to move. He walked past the medical room without looking, without acknowledging them. He did not know if they had seen him. He did not care. All he could hear were those words, playing on a loop in his mind. He thinks he's bigger than Inter now, bigger than all of us. The dressing room was a graveyard. Players sat in their spots, staring at the floor, saying nothing. Inzaghi tried to rally them, tried to remind them that the season was not over, that they still had everything to play for. But his words felt hollow. The derby mattered more than logic. Losing the derby left scars that did not heal quickly. Lautaro sat in his spot, mechanically unlacing his boots. His hands were shaking. Across the room, Barella was talking to Hakan Çalhanoğlu, their heads close together, voices low. Lautaro wondered if they were talking about him, wondered if Bastoni had been right, wondered if Barella really had lost trust in him. He had been negotiating with Inter about a new contract for months. It was true. His current deal expired in 2026, and his agent had been in discussions with the club's management. But it was not about Barcelona. It was not about leaving. It was about security, about getting what he was worth after everything he had given to Inter. He had turned down offers before, big offers from clubs that could pay, more than Inter ever could. But the media had twisted it, had made it seem like he was holding Inter hostage, like he was angling for a move. And now his teammates believed it. Lautaro showered quickly, dressed, and left without speaking to anyone. The drive home was a blur. His apartment in the center of Milan felt empty and cold. He sat on his couch, still in his clothes, staring at his phone. Messages from his family in Argentina, from friends, from his agent. He ignored them all. All he could think about was Bastoni's voice. He thinks he's bigger than Inter now. The next morning, Italian media was merciless. La Gazzetta dello Sport had a picture of Lautaro's missed chance on the front page, the headline screaming, "The moment Inter lost the derby." Corriere dello Sport was worse. Lautaro's heavy touch costs Inter, contract talks distraction. Social media was a wasteland of criticism, memes, and conspiracy theories. Fans questioned his commitment. Pundits questioned his focus. Everyone had an opinion. At Appiano Gentile, Inter's training ground, the atmosphere was tense. Players went through the motions, the usual post-match recovery session, feeling like a punishment. Lautaro arrived early, hoping to avoid everyone, but Barella was already there, on the treatment table, getting his legs worked on by the physio. Their eyes met briefly. Barella looked away first. It felt like a knife to the chest. Training that week was uncomfortable. The tactical sessions were fine. Everyone was professional. Everyone did their jobs. But the chemistry was gone. Lautaro and Barella, who used to communicate constantly during drills, barely spoke. When they did, it was functional, cold. Here, switch, press. The other players noticed. DeMarco tried to lighten the mood with jokes, but they fell flat. Çalhanoğlu organized a team dinner, but half the squad declined. The unity that had carried Inter through the season was fracturing. Inzaghi called Lautaro into his office on Wednesday. "Sit," the coach said, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. Inzaghi was 57, a man who had played the game at the highest level and understood its emotional complexities. He leaned back, studying Lautaro carefully. "Talk to me." "About what?" Lautaro asked, his voice flat. "About whatever's eating you, about why you and Barella are avoiding each other, about why my two most important players look like strangers." Lautaro stared at his hands. "I'm fine." "You're not fine, neither is Nicolò, and we have Napoli on Sunday. I need you both focused." "I'm focused," Inzaghi sighed. "Lautaro, I've been in this game for 35 years. I know when something's broken. What happened in the tunnel after the Derby?" Lautaro looked up sharply. "How did you—" "I'm the coach. I see everything." Inzaghi leaned forward. "So tell me." Lautaro hesitated, then the words came pouring out. The conversation he had overheard, Bastoni's accusation, the feeling of betrayal, the contract negotiations that had been twisted into something ugly, the sense that his teammates thought he was abandoning them. Inzaghi listened without interrupting. When Lautaro finished, the coach was quiet for a long moment. "Do you want to leave Inter?" Inzaghi finally asked. "No." "Then why haven't you signed?" "Because they're offering me less than what I'm worth," Lautaro said, frustration bleeding through. "I've been here 6 years. I've scored over 100 goals for this club. I've won trophies, I've given everything, and they're offering me the same money as players who just arrived. And you think you deserve more. I know I do." Inzaghi nodded slowly. "You're probably right, but from the outside, from your teammates' perspective, it looks like you're chasing money. It looks like you're not committed. And in a moment like Sunday, when the pass doesn't come, when the chemistry's not there, they wonder if it's because you're already thinking about your next club. That's not fair." "No," Inzaghi agreed. "It's not. But football's not fair. You know that." Lautaro looked away, his jaw tight. "Talk to Nicolò," Inzaghi said. "Not as a player to a captain, as a friend to a friend. Because whatever's between you two right now, it's killing this team." But Lautaro did not talk to Barella. Neither did Barella talk to Lautaro. They existed in parallel, doing their jobs, fulfilling their responsibilities, but the connection was severed. The match against Napoli was a disaster. Inter lost 2-0, looking disjointed and lifeless. Lautaro barely touched the ball. Barella gave the ball away repeatedly, his usually sharp passing deserting him. The chemistry that had made them dangerous was gone, and Napoli exploited every weakness. After the match, the Inter dressing room was silent again. But this time, someone broke the silence. "We need to talk." It was Çalhanoğlu, standing in the middle of the room. The Turkish midfielder was 31, one of the senior players, and his voice carried authority. "This can't continue." No one responded. "We're destroying ourselves," Çalhanoğlu continued. "We're letting outside noise get inside our heads. We're letting rumors and media bullshit tear us apart. And for what? So we can finish second? So we can waste this season?" Still silence. Çalhanoğlu looked directly at Lautaro and Barella. "You two need to sort whatever this is out, tonight, because the rest of us are tired of paying for it." He walked out, leaving the room in stunned quiet. Barella stood up first. He walked over to where Lautaro was sitting and stopped in front of him. "Roof of the training ground, 30 minutes. Then he left. Lautaro sat there, his heart pounding. He could feel every eye in the room on him. After a moment, he nodded to himself, stood, and followed. The roof of Appiano Gentile was not designed for conversations. It was a flat expanse of concrete and ventilation units, accessible through a maintenance door. That was rarely locked, but it offered privacy, and in that moment, privacy was all that mattered. Barella was already there when Lautaro arrived, leaning against the railing, looking out over the training pitches below. The night was cold, the air sharp. Milan's lights glittered in the distance. "I heard what Bastoni said," Lautaro said, not bothering with pleasantries. Barella did not turn around. "I figured. Is that what you think? That I'm bigger than Inter? That I'm leaving?" "I don't know what to think anymore," Barella said quietly. He finally turned to face Lautaro. In the dim light, he looked exhausted. "I see you on the phone with your agent every day. I see the contract talks dragging on. I see Barcelona's name in the papers, and I see you pulling away from us. I'm not pulling away. I'm trying to get what I deserve." "What you deserve?" Barella's voice rose. "Toro, you think you're the only one who's underpaid? You think you're the only one who's given everything to this club? We all have. but we're not holding Inter hostage over it. I'm not holding anyone hostage. Then sign the damn contract. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Barella stepped closer, his face flushed with emotion. Either you want to be here or you don't. Either you're Interista or you're not. There's no in between. Lautaro felt his own anger rising. You don't get to question my commitment. You don't get to judge me because I want to be paid fairly. I'm not judging you for wanting to be paid. I'm judging you for letting it affect the team, for letting it get between us. I didn't let it get between us. You did. You stopped trusting me. Barella stared at him, and for a moment, Lautaro thought he might walk away. But then something in the Italian's expression cracked, and the anger drained out of him. You're right, Barella said softly. I did stop trusting you, and I hate that I did. The admission hung in the cold air between them. Why? Lautaro asked, his own anger fading. Why did you stop trusting me? Barella ran a hand through his hair. Because I'm scared. The words came out barely above a whisper. I'm scared that you're going to leave, and I'm scared that when you do, everything we've built falls apart. I'm scared that Inter becomes just another stepping stone for players like you. Great players who come here, win some trophies, and then move on to Barcelona or Real Madrid or wherever pays more. And I'm scared because... He paused, struggling. Because you're my brother, Toro, and if you leave, it'll break something in me that I don't think I can fix. Lautaro felt his throat tighten. I'm not leaving. You say that now, but what happens when Barcelona actually makes an offer? What happens when they put 30 million euros a year on the table? You expect me to believe you'll turn that down? Yes, Lautaro said firmly, because Inter is my home, because the Nerazzurri is more than money, because... He took a breath. Because you're my brother too, Nico, and I don't want to go anywhere. Barella searched his face, looking for any hint of insincerity. Then why haven't you signed? Because I need Inter to show me that they value me, not just with words but with actions. I need them to give me a contract that reflects what I've done for this club, and if they can't do that, then maybe I'm not as important to them as I thought. Barella was quiet for a long moment, then he nodded slowly. I get it. I do. But Toro, you have to understand, when you're negotiating, when you're fighting for more money, the rest of us see someone who might leave, and it makes us pull back. It makes us protect ourselves. I didn't think about it that way, Lautaro admitted. And I didn't think about what you were feeling, Barella said. I assumed the worst. I let the media and the gossip get in my head, and I'm sorry for that. They stood there, two men who had fought together for years, finally being honest about the fear that had driven them apart. That pass on Sunday, Lautaro said quietly. Was it off because you didn't trust me? Barella grimaced. Maybe. I don't know. In that moment, I was thinking about 100 things. The time, the position, the options. And maybe, somewhere in the back of my mind, I was thinking about the contract. About whether you'd still be here next season to remember this derby. And that hesitation, that split second of doubt, it was enough to make the pass just a little bit wrong. We lost because of me, Lautaro said. We lost because of both of us, Barella corrected. Because we let something come between us that should never have been there. The wind picked up, cold and sharp. Below them, the training pitches were dark and empty. I'm going to sign, Lautaro said suddenly. Not because you want me to. Not because the media is pressuring me, but because this is where I belong. Inter can offer me whatever they want. If it's not what I think I deserve, we'll figure it out. But I'm not leaving. Not for Barcelona, not for anyone. Barella's eyes widened. You mean that? I mean it. A slow smile spread across Barella's face. You stubborn Argentine bastard. You emotional Italian bastard. They embraced, hard and fierce, the kind of hug that only brothers share after fighting. When they pulled apart, both had tears in their eyes. We're going to win this league, Barella said. Together. Together, Lautaro agreed. The next day, Lautaro called his agent and told him to accept Inter's offer. The contract was signed by the end of the week, a 4-year deal that kept him at Inter until 2029. The announcement was made on a Friday afternoon, and the social media reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Interisti flooded the comments with heart emojis and messages of joy. Toro stays was trending within an hour, but more important than the public reaction was what happened in the dressing room. When Lautaro walked in that Saturday morning, the entire team, was waiting. They applauded, cheered, and mobbed him with affection. Barella was at the front, pulling him into another crushing hug. "Now we can play football again," Barella said, grinning. The match that Sunday was against Juventus in Turin, another massive game, another test of Inter's character. But this time, everything was different. The chemistry was back. Lautaro and Barella moved like they were reading each other's minds again. In the 34th minute, Barella played a perfect ball over the top, and Lautaro finished with clinical precision. 1-0. In the 79th minute, with Juventus pressing for an equalizer, Lautaro won the ball in his own half, drove forward, and found Barella with a no-look pass. Barella took one touch and fired into the bottom corner. 2-0. They celebrated together, sprinting to the corner flag, Lautaro laughing as Barella jumped on his back. The Interisti in the away section went wild. Inter won 2-0. They went on to win 7 of their next 8 matches, pulling away at the top of the Serie A table. The chemistry between Lautaro and Barella became the foundation of Inter's success. Every goal, every assist, every tactical adjustment felt easier with their connection restored. In May, when Inter clinched the Scudetto with 2 matches to spare, it was Lautaro who scored the winning goal. And it was Barella who lifted him off the ground in celebration, both of them screaming with joy. Later, as they posed with the trophy at San Siro, the same stadium where their friendship had nearly ended, Barella leaned close to Lautaro and said something only he could hear. "Thanks for staying, Toro. Thanks for trusting me again, Nico." They raised the Scudetto together, 2 brothers who had fought through doubt and fear to find something stronger on the other side. The cameras captured the moment, the smiles, the tears, the pure joy. But they could not capture what it had taken to get there. They could not capture the tunnel conversation, the rooftop confrontation, or the decision to put brotherhood above everything else. That was theirs alone. And as confetti rained down on San Siro, as 54,000 people sang "C'è solo l'Inter," Lautaro Martínez and Nicolò Barella stood side by side, knowing they had almost lost each other, and knowing they would never take their brotherhood for granted again.